about some of the issues that he looked at.
Thanks, Jen. Bill asked me to come down today and talk about different ways to fix landslides based on conditions. And then we, as Jen said, we have a cost estimate for the chosen remediation scheme that we picked. Basically, I'm going to break it down from the cheapest to the most expensive ways to fix a landslide. The cheapest is strictly to flatten the slope. The slope's too steep, you need to flatten it out. That option doesn't really work on this site because you flatten it out more, you're going to lose more of the pavement that you have. So the next step would be to reconstruct the slope at a 2 horizontal to 1 vertical slope. This works if the topography is good and the subsurface conditions allow you to do that. Unfortunately, this option doesn't work for Ewing Road. Ewing Road? I know it's Ewing Road, right? Road, I'm sorry. This doesn't work for Ewing Road because you're chasing the steep slope below the road, so you will never be able to get to a point where you can reconstruct the slope on 2 to 1 to make it stable. The third option, going from cheapest to most expensive, is installing a mechanically reinforced block wall. And that is the option we have chosen, and that's the one we've developed the cost estimate for. The next one would be use a soil nails system connected to a mesh concrete gunite or sprayed on concrete face. That works if you can't use a mechanically reinforced earth wall or reconstruct the slope. And then the most expensive option is to install a soldier beam and lagging wall. There you drill beams into the ground, concrete up so far, and then you put wood or concrete lagging up from there. That is the most expensive option, and you only do that when you can't do any of the other 4. So we have chosen option 3, which is install a mechanically reinforced earth block wall. And that is the least expensive of the options that will work on this site.
And then I think you may all have a copy of this letter from July 13th, but I brought an extra copy of the cost estimates. And that middle option, and Joe, maybe you want to explain what what that option is with the mechanically
Yeah,
stabilized.
basically, first of all, we're trying to establish a 12-foot one-lane road right now. What we do there is we did some test pits earlier this year.
Thank you.
We found where the competent bearing material is, because the problem with the landslide, I don't want to get too technical, but you have fill that was put in to make a level road on top of what's called colluvial soil, which is soil that has moved in the past, historically. It could have moved a week ago, it could have moved 1,000 years ago. But because that material has already moved once, there was always the potential for it to move again. So if you built something on that, that something, as well as the soil below it, could move. So we dug some test pits, we got through the fill and the colluvial soil down to natural residual soil, which is decomposed rock. And that is where this mechanically reinforced block wall is going to start. Basically what we do is, it is I believe a jumbo block wall, 6 by 3 by 3. They're stacked on each other. Between each layer or every other course, there is a geogrid going back into the ground, into the road, and there's fill material placed in there to lock all that in. If you just put the block without the geogrid, just the weight of the material you put behind the block would cause the block to fall over. The geogrid kind of knits everything together and creates a stable mass so that the block doesn't fall over.
If you limited the weight limit, would that make any type of a difference? So if you made it for, passenger vehicles or whatever?
I don't know exactly what this wall was designed for, but because it's one lane, I believe we were just trying to keep it to local traffic, yeah.
Okay.
No garbage trucks.
Right. So that's not going to make a difference in the price if you limit it
No.
to like a weight limit or anything.
No.
And how does that look? Does it blend into the environment, or is it something that really stands out?
Oh, it stands out, but no one's ever going to see the bottom side, because people aren't going to be walking down through there. It's a relatively steep slope, so it's just concrete block is all it is.
So from the surface, you would just see the tops of the blocks, and they are substantial for this type of wall. And then I think there would be guide rail that would be mounted on the top of that, is what we had proposed. Soldier beam and lagging wall wouldn't really be much different of a, which is the
You'd
most
see
expensive
the
option.
steel sticking out.
Yeah, you'd see this, it would be the same, you're gonna see the concrete down on the lower side. But up above from the road level, you'd just see that top of that block with the guide rail that would be mounted on top of it.
It'd be like looking at the top of the wood right here. That's all you're gonna see. You're not gonna see what's down below.
Okay,
From the road surface.
Right.
thank you.
Yes?
So, what is the risk and liability standpoint? So, I'm looking at this, the option that you guys chose, and I'm just, I feel as if the parameters that you chose were zero risk. And we know that we live in Western Pennsylvania, and just doing business in the Commonwealth, you have to manage your risk and look at your profiles. And I don't know if the borough should be concerned with having a zero risk profile here. And if that's the case, if our engineering parameters are designed around zero risk, there's a certain risk of just inherently doing business in the Commonwealth. So I've walked the road, I've looked at the road, when I look at it, I see, yes, there's some inherent risk of having a roadway there, but if you look at the entire borough and you were to take risk profiles from 100 years ago to now, you wouldn't have any, or you'd have half of the roads, half of them wouldn't be there because the cost to construct them would far exceed any kind of development benefit. So I'm curious to see the other option where you you bring in aggregates and geogrid, and you prepare a roadway surface that can go 5-10 years without having much maintenance. But we know for the type of traffic that we have there, you have to go, is it a $350,000 segment of road? Because if you do the math on it, you end up at $7.5 million worth of roadway. If that was the case of doing business in the Commonwealth, no industry or developer could do business here because we are all sitting on top of these types of soils. And that's my reservation. I think it's a good option, but dealing with the resources that we have available to us, I think when you look at the cost-benefit analysis and look at the risk profile, what's the risk of, let's say, life and limb being in peril here? I don't think there is an immediate peril. There is a peril of having another failure in the future, but the cost of maintaining it and just opening up traffic could be served by another option, in my professional opinion. However, I'm not the borough engineer, so that's my opinion as a council person. I think it's a good option, but at this cost, I don't know if this is a tangible option for the borough at this point. So I'm curious to see what another option would cost to say, all right, we understand that it's going to require, let's say, maintenance that maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we'll be in a better position to come up with a solution more like your option right now with this alt. But I think this alt is comes at a high cost for 250 foot of roadway. That's a pretty extensive. You're not even talking about sewer, putting sewers in there. Or, I think having a culvert in there to take the water away from the roadway is imperative to keep the moisture from having sogginess in the road base and draining it properly. But at this cost, I think it's prohibitive, and we have other problems in the borough. So we have to come up with a solution that manages our risk profile here. And I feel as if this takes a zero risk profile, and I think the borough should take on a little more risk and look at another alt that would help us and get the road open. So that's my opinion, everybody. Thank you.
Joe?
Yeah, and looking at this, the next less expensive option is to, we talked about reconstruct the slope, you can't really do it here. To flatten the slope, not an option either. So you can do something less. Maybe you do take out just 3 feet of road, or 3 feet of material, put a geogrid in and put stone in, but you're not addressing the issue, the fact that you've had a slide on that road before.
Right.
You start messing with that, I mean, that road's been closed forever. I did the borings back in,
Right.
whenever that was. No, I'm talking back in the,
15 years ago.
yeah, 15 years ago. I was actually part of that also.
Right.
And we know what the problem is. And without taking care of the fill in the colluvial soil that I mentioned, just putting additional weight on it is actually a way to trigger additional movement. There's 3 ways to cause a landslide. 1 is to cut at the toe, 2 is to fill on top, and 3 is to put water in the system.
Right.
We know that the issue, what the issue is. We know the soil's bad where the slide was. So just taking off
And
3.
there's water in the system, right?
Pardon me?
And you can say there's water in the system.
There's always water in
there's
the
a
system,
spring-
sure.
And there's a spring, most likely there's a spring, because if you look at the drainage from up above, which
Mhm.
probably indicates that we have a drainage issue up on, was that Linwood? You know, so that's a contributing factor to the issue. So I would rather spend money up top, solve the drainage issue that we have that helped compromise the situation. And then, since it is essentially just an access road, we're not talking about, we can put weight limits on it, we're not bringing in, 20-ton cranes. We're talking about minivans going down to a ballpark. And I want to say, I completely hear what you're saying, but and this is one of the rare instances where I'm going to say, let's put a Band-Aid on it and see where we are in 10 years. It is a lot better for the community than not doing anything and not having the vehicular traffic, because we're trying through our comp plan to provide more connectivity. And right now, that is a part of the community that's being cut off.
You took the words right out of my mouth. If you did just, we talked about to cut out a couple feet, put geogrid down, put stone in, you're putting Band-Aid on a flesh wound. Will it move again? Yes. Can I tell
Yes.
you when? No.
Right.
It could happen 3 days after you're done, it may be years.
Right.
But from an engineering standpoint, we have to make the recommendations to you, what will make your road stable.
Right. Thank you.
Has there been any change since the last time we were out there, as far as the road conditions or any type of more of the road sliding? I don't know if you recall that. I know you did core samples. So has there been any change since your first test 12 years ago compared to this test this year?
You're testing my memory now, but it doesn't look like there's much fresh stuff. When we did the test pits
Right.
a month ago or 6 weeks ago, it didn't look like there was
I
any
mean,
fresh.
if you go out and look at it, there's no indications of an active sliding. There's no movements of any trees, tree roots, or any leaning of the trees. The one section that slid, I think it's been that way probably for
Since we did the report.
numerous years,
Mhm.
probably when I was here in '96. It had the same problem right there.
But
But
when-
actually, the borough went out and put this is probably about 7, 8 years ago, they put a little, you probably noticed it, they actually pile drove some galvanized pipe about 10 feet into the ground and stuck railroad ties in it to keep the road from shifting and moving any more than it did, up near the first Jersey barrier near
Right.
Grandview. And that all seemed to, it's still working in active condition. It seemed to serve the purpose. Something similar to that, in that one slide area that the borough can come in and do some Band-Aid work and put I wouldn't call it a soldier wall, but it's similar to it with the pile driving the post into the ground and then leveling off the slide area with some type of aggregate, even reclaim. I think they put reclaiming up above it. And that seemed to serve the problem, issue that was there 7, 8 years ago. Like you said, who knows when it's gonna slide again?
Right.
I mean, that condition probably was pre-existing in the 90s. You did your test probably in early 2000s, and it hasn't been very much of a change. As soon as you did your test, I'm sure that, that there's numerous locations throughout Allegheny County, if you do test pits, you're gonna find on existing roadways with that soil is conducive to sliding.
Absolutely.
And those roads are open and operational, but as soon as you
It was
uncover
never
it.
closed.
What's that?
That's the big difference.
Right.
It was never closed.
Right.
And so you can say all over Allegheny County, there's roadways. This road was closed by the borough, and if you put a Band-Aid on it, then you put this borough open to a lot of risk, because the road was closed. And that's the big difference that you have to keep in mind. If it was open and we were looking at it because there was a little slide, it's a lot different that the road's been closed for so many years.
But they never mitigated, well, I'm suggesting a solution that mitigates one of the main contributing factors. And when you look at it, it looks like we have an E&S issue with waters making their way to those soils. So if you put in a culvert and you're able to drain it properly, you've demonstrated that you proactively tried sliding, minimizing the slide potential. And the reality is, what type of slide are you trying to prevent? You're talking about slippage of, or some unevenness of roadway, all right, which creates a maintenance issue, but are we talking about a risk to losing vehicles and causing, harm to persons as in vehicular, losing vehicles and having like, a real landslide? And if that's the case, if you're that afraid of it, then those buildings on top of the hill need to be condemned. I don't think that's the direction I don't think we're talking about that type of geotechnical issue. I think we're talking about a roadway that was closed and, dare I say, for politics, and maybe kicking the can down the road with saying, all right, we have to fix a drainage issue up above, and I am just making that argument. We have to, try to bring the best value and best risk profile, and it'd be beautiful to take out the zero risk, and I'm sure this solution would be beautiful, but to spend $353,000 potential, could be more or less, it could come in or over, for that section of roadway doesn't seem economical at this point with our current budgets. And it seems as if a Band-Aid might be in our risk profile, and if it gives us 5-10 years of longevity, that would be great. And if it's just adding asphalt and doing milling and paving to keep up with it, I think that will serve us for the time being until we can really come out there and do a complete rehab.
Two things to point
Sounds
out.
like you're saying, though, if you do that, you still can't speak to if that ground is gonna move again.
Right.
So you can do all of that Band-Aid work, and 3 days later, we could have a landslide.
So then
10
why,
years later, we could have a landslide.
okay, so remind me why and what the benefits of getting that road open again are. So when I hear cost benefit, I'm saying, okay, what are we preventing our citizens from being able to do, and how significant is it to be looking at numbers like
And
this?
to add to that information, because I personally wasn't here on council when this was decided to be closed, what happened? Why did we decide to close it? Was it because we didn't have money to fix it at that point and we just said close it? Or did something physically, like what happened? Why did we decide to close it at that point? Did that make this problem more, worse now because we closed it?
The
Why
longer
did
it
we
stays,
fix it?
the
Right.
longer it stays closed, the entire segment becomes worse. Because if it had regular maintenance and our people were regularly looking at it and using it, it could be maintained and incrementally maintained, and we could keep up with it. But if it becomes off the radar and becomes unused,
Right.
then the E&S issues I'm talking about become worse. Because
I
there's no,
was
there's,
just curious,
yeah,
what
because there's a swale.
What caused it? How did we
Oh, yeah.
get here? And then the additional information.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
I can answer, what caused it, there was a landslide on the road,
Right.
right.
and the road could not be driven on in the condition with the landslide the way it was. So that's why the road was closed originally. Now, to get back to.
So at that point, it was, we can't fix it, so we're just closing it.
Right. While we provided recommendations, Gateway did back then on cost to remediate, and it was decided to, the way I understand it, to leave the road closed as opposed to remediate. Couple things.
I'm a little nervous about the Band-Aid.
First, we talked about maybe cutting 3 feet out. You mentioned the area up where the wall was. There's actually 9 feet of fill and colluvial material there. So if you take out 3 feet and put geogrid and fill back in, you still have 6 feet of colluvial material, which has moved in the past. To address your comment about what kind of damage might you have, if the road is open and a slide occurs, it's not going to be just a little bit of asphalt. There's the potential for a foot of road to slide down. So a car going down there at night, not seeing that, hits that, that's where the liability comes in. They go off the edge, they hit a tree, God forbid they go over the hill. That's the concern that I see with putting a Band-Aid on.
And if we're opening that up to access for the fields and stuff, right? That's increased traffic. Will they go that way?
We're still debating on exactly how to.
But no, how about making, because of the comprehensive plan and the walkability, how about making it, if we paved it for a walking trail?
I'm gonna put the weight on, can't pave it, make it a walking thing, put an additional weight on the road that's for slide road. Pavement is,
Plus you have to get the pavement on.
Right.
But I think that, I don't know, with the intent for this evening, but I think maybe look a little more closely at the cost estimate, because of the 350,000, the wall itself is 150,000. There's a lot of other work to be done to bring this up, and that would be to the borough's standards, that if a new developer or a utility were coming through to do this type of work, this is what your standards would be. So I think that, that you should probably start at that. There is a lot of drainage going in here, and I think typically too, we would come into a situation like this and say, could we address the drainage issue to help the problem? But with the test bores, we know what type of material is out there. So it isn't just the drainage issue that will address the problem. And so even if you did put pavement or a road, without doing the stabilization, then you could be throwing that money away, is the concern. And that might be $100,000 to $150,000 just to get it open without doing the geotechnical work. And we're not here to sell this either way. I think we're just proposing the options. We can go back and we can give you some more cost estimates depending on what you want. But I think this is the best fix. It is the safest. If you choose that's cost prohibitive, then let us know and we can go back and look at some different options. Maybe we can cut back on the paving section depending on the type of usage on this road, or if it does just become a walking trail, that there's some things that we could look at to adjust that cost. This would be for, an unposted road to have it open, just like any of your other borough roads, so.
Joe, sum it up, how long was the wall? I mean, just real quick, how long was the wall that you proposed to install?
Can Public Works do the wall and do some of the work?
I don't know, you had it on your one report, I'm sorry, I didn't.
It says 2,000 square foot. 250 linear feet.
250 feet.
Yeah.
And how big were those blocks, how big are the door blocks?
I think there's
Door blocks?
3 by 3 by 6. That's the jumbo
The
wall.
number. Is it Ready Rock? Is this Ready Rock?
Bob, when you were here, did Jack Duncan shore that road up a couple of times?
No.
He used to take care of that, I know, for a long time so his trucks could ride on it.
And I don't recall Duncan doing anything on Ewing. Actually, the in-house crew paved the soda when I was in '96, believe it or not. But I don't recall anything being done on Ewing at all. I know there was a dip in the road where the slide is now,
Yeah.
that was pre-existing, I guess, way back when. I mean, there was an issue with the road there where it dropped a little bit. And like Joe said, if you do test pits and see the consistency of the soil, the type of soil, then obviously there's gonna be issues and can cause concerns for slides. And like Ann said, once your borough's made aware of it if you open it up and it slides, then you're looking at a major lawsuit because you were made aware of a pre-existing condition, so. And I want Phil, I'm right with him, trying to think of the best technological way to do it, but once you're made aware of the situation, you open up and God forbid something happened, then the borough will be held liable. So, unless you fix it, then there's probably legal issues that I'm sure the borough would have to address if something did happen. I mean, we could look at saving some money. $150,000, I guess, and $75 is the unit price of the contractor estimate, right?
Yeah, our estimates typically, when we put an estimate out, it's not, we don't go by the highest bidder or the low bidder. We try to get somewhere in the middle. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. So if we came in at 200,000 and your bids came in at 275, you wouldn't be happy if you had budgeted 200. So we try to hit it somewhere in the middle, looking at different types of projects and accessibility and how difficult it is. So we do, we try to make sure that you have enough in there for, to cover the cost of that project. So a bid could come in lower than that. But we can look at potentially, Phil, maybe some value engineering to say, okay, well, maybe this doesn't need to be a road like, Crafton Boulevard. So let's look at some other pavement type of options that we could.
Part of it do it in phases too. You could put the wall in 1 year, get a hard cost on it and see, take a look at it and with engineering, maybe the crew can do it. 250 feet of wall is something I think that's manageable. We've got new equipment, and I've been involved in some type of wall restorations or installations for slide areas. I mean, it's something we could use the gateway to oversee the project and make sure the crew does it right. But same token, it could be something that could be done in house, maybe.
Or even, like you said, 1 year, put it up for the wall, and then we could add something to your paving program.
There's probably a lot of stuff in there that can be done in-house too, as far as the roadway.
And some of the drainage, I'm not sure if you guys are able to do any of the drainage issues too. That can be something that we can revisit as well. And there's substantial cost with that.
The main thing would be the wall, and then we'd probably look at in-house doing most of the other line items on this project list. So I think the big thing would be the wall. We said 150,000. We'll take a look at that with engineering to make sure that we could possibly do it.
Well, thank you very much. Does anyone else have any questions? Thank you.
So should we go back and meet with the staff and go over some of those options?
Yeah, can you do that, Rob? Can you meet with them and see if, you guys can figure out what we can do in-house?
I mean, it's something we could go look at, revisit it, and give us a full description of what needs to be done as far as reclamation. That's probably the biggest thing. Make sure it's safe.
Yeah, that's our hang up here at the moment, so.
Sure, absolutely.
If you're able to find a way to make it happen, we'd really like to see that happen.
I'll ask you to bring this.
Yep, this is a picture of the proposed rain garden on Steuben Street. There's handouts over there. I just made a few of the 8.5 by 11. There's one 11 by 17. It's on the Google Drive. That's going to be proposed, and bids are due August 28th at 10 a.m. So they did a big poster board for it.
I know Andy can handle the stormwater questions and comments, but.
Yeah. So.
Thank you very much.
Do you need us to sign on that?
Phil doesn't usually come, so it's up to council. I mean, it doesn't matter if you want him to stay. It's up to you.
Anything on the agenda you want?
The only thing on the agenda, and I don't know if you know anything about that grant that we were going to apply for the road signals,
Okay.
the Green Light Go. I don't know if you know anything about that or not.
Mike Haberman, he's a
Yeah.
traffic engineer, so he would handle that.
Okay.
But if that's something you're interested in pursuing.
Yeah, well, I
then-
have a lot of information. I didn't know if you had a little bit more for backup. Or...
No, it's, from what I've gathered from Mike, it's the last opportunity for this grant. Most municipalities don't realize that they are responsible, even if it's on a state road, for the traffic signals and the updating of those signals. And this is an opportunity, and I believe that it could be up to 100% covered.
No, it's only 80%, it's a 20% match.
Yeah, a 20% match, but for grants today, as so many of them are going away, it's an opportunity to look at which signals, you have issues with and what you can, look for this opportunity to at least get some funding. And 80/20 is pretty good for grants, so, we can have Mike, work
Yeah,
with
he provided me, I can discuss it with council, that's, the one good thing about it is that our match we could probably make it into our 2018 and 2019 budget. So, example, if we do a $100,000 project, we would be responsible for $20,000. You can use liquid fuels money, but typically we don't have $20,000 left over. Maybe we have 5 or 6 left over, but this year we bought a lot of asphalt because we have the paver. And so, I don't think we're gonna have to, and if it's a really bad winter, we buy a lot of salt. So we don't have a lot of leftovers, and liquid fuels. But it's something to consider. You can also put in the 2018 and 2019 budget. So if we want to do a 200,000, and that would be $40,000 match, we could do 20,000 in 18 and 20,000 in 19. So it's something that we need to discuss and how
And
we
we can
want to
talk about
pursue
it
it.
when we get down.
Yeah, I didn't know if they wanted to stay or,
Well, now's the time, as believe it or not, we're all thinking about budgets already for 2018, and we haven't even just been past the halfway mark of 2017. So, it is good timing. Oftentimes grants don't fall in line with your planning process for that grant period.
right, thanks.
Thank you. So, call to order, Borough Crafton, discussion meeting Monday, August 14th with the flag salute with Mr. O'Brien.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amendola?
Here.
Ms. Glasser? Here. Ms. Stamets? Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
Ms. Perry? Here. Mr. Lasser?
Here.
Ms. Amendola?
Here.
Mayor Bloom?
Here.
Solicitor Gladys?
Here.
And Public Works Director Kozarowski.
Here.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the bill list dated January, August 14th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second, any discussion on the bill list? No discussion, then all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes dated July 24th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second, any discussion on the minutes? Hearing no discussion, then all in favor? All opposed? Please make sure everyone's saying aye or nay. Okay, citizens' comments regarding agenda items. Is your item on the agenda, Kath?
I don't think so.
Well, it's notice to bidders, the house demolition project is due September 6th. The asbestos reports, that's 78 Fountain, 25 Sycamore.
Is that what you have a question about?
That's what
I do.
says 78 Fountain.
Okay.
Kathleen Watson, 74 Fountain Street. I'm under the impression that someone is going to buy this property instead of tearing it down. That's fine with me, but I think they're stuck right now because they can't get in touch with the owner. And he's been calling me, the gentleman that wants to buy the house. He said it has a lot of potential, and I'm all for that, but I don't really know how he's going to get in touch with this guy, and he says it's going to be a long process now because the only option that he has is to maybe go to the school board and have the school board take over the property for back taxes. But he said it's going to be a long process. I just want to know where we're at, that's all.
moving ahead, right?
We're moving ahead with the demolition. Now, if he comes to council and wants to make a presentation or whatever, I mean, I've spoke with him, I've met with him, Rob and I met with him already as well. But he is gonna have trouble. I gave him all the information that I have to get in touch with Mr. Sanchez.
I know.
We're
He's
And
calling
the
me and-
gentleman.
we're not gonna slow our, I mean, we're moving forward with what we.
Right, we're
what we need
moving
to
forward with
based
what
on
we're
our
doing. If he can beat us to the punchline, then, you know, good luck to
Right,
him.
I thought maybe it was on hold for tearing it down because he wanted to buy it, which I'd love for him to buy it and do
No, we
something
are
with it
moving
instead,
forward.
really. It's, okay. I
It
can
depends,
see that.
hopefully we'll get bids. It's due on, they're due on September 6th.
Okay, alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, that's all.
Asbestos, if there was a 5 to 10% in there, does it have to be removed?
Yeah, that'll be a part of the bid, right.
Okay.
25 Sycamore did not have any asbestos. So, that, we're hoping that's the reason we didn't get any bids, but
Okay.
I can't guarantee
And it
it.
was what, just caulking and something else?
Yeah, window,
too,
yeah, it was very minor, so it's good.
Okay, moving on to the solicitor's report.
On the agenda, there is a Three Rivers Wet Water working group meeting for September the 6th. At that meeting, they will be talking about the source reduction studies that are due December 1st. The EPA source reduction and green infrastructure projects. I'll make a full report after the meeting as to what occurs.
Okay, that's it?
Does anybody else have any questions about anything legally related?
Okay, Mr. Ayer, it's good to see you.
Vacation's over.
We'll move on to your report.
Yeah, all my parts are there, yes. Just that the bike rodeo that the borough's gonna sponsor on Saturday, the 26th of August. It's 2017 from 10 a.m. to noon in the municipal parking lot. And it's free for all kids of all ages. Bring your bikes down and we're gonna have a good time. I believe that we might have helmets. I have to talk to the chief. I think that there's some helmets that are
I
available.
think he does have a
Yeah.
few, but not, I mean, it depends on how many people show
Right,
up.
so.
And Representative Deasy's gonna be there as well too, with some tips too, and popcorn
There you go.
So there's no parking in the parking lot.
for Saturday, yeah.
It'll be posted Friday, so.
Friday night probably,
Yeah.
yes.
Any questions? Thank you. Moving on then to our business agenda under public safety. I'll entertain a motion to accept the 2016 Civil Service Commission Annual Report as submitted.
So,
Second.
Moved in second, is there any discussion?
They're doing a great job.
Hearing no discussion then, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Just as a notice out there that council will consider ordinance 1645, establishing the tax credit program for the volunteer members of the Crafton Volunteer Fire Department and establishing administrative procedures at our next meeting on the 28th. Now, did you want to talk about the Go Green Light Go grant?
Okay, I did talk to Mike Haberman, who is their traffic engineer at Gateway, and he thinks that, well, this is definitely the last year, but he does believe that it's a really good opportunity and that a lot of communities, there's a lot of money out there for this type of project. And it is a 20% match, and, you know, we did a different type of application. It was, it's called ARLE. I don't even remember exactly what it stands for, but it's through PennDOT as well. Just for Noble and Bradford, it was like a $158,000 project. But that is all the bells and whistles and that kind of thing. So really basically, what we need to determine is what council would like to apply for. So if we apply for $200,000, that's a $40,000 match. And again, we can put 20 in 2018 and 20 in 2019.
Can we just do like a quick, like exactly what it is? It's to what? To replace?
To replace,
upgrade?
but see, that's what we would determine. Now, we could spend $200,000.
But this program is a grant for us to then go through our community and decide what we need.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, but again, we could do $200,000 worth of work at Noble and Bradford, if that's what we wanted. Or we could do the other traffic lights at Crennel and, you know, we could do those and just to make them better, put it that way. Like at St. Philip's, we could just make them better.
Like with the flashing?
With the flashing lights and,
Okay.
you know, even on Noble, further down, we could just make it better. So we need to determine what we want to apply for, like how much we want to apply for, and if we want to do it for all the traffic lights, make them a little bit better, or just maybe pick, like, maybe Noble and Bradford, and then Steuben and, at St. Philip's. You know, then we could put $100,000 in each of them. Maybe we don't get all the bells and whistles that we originally proposed, but we were applying for 100% funding through PennDOT. We did not receive it.
Because it is our responsibility. to
It is our
maintain those lights
responsibility.
Regardless.
So,
So we
you know,
don't apply for, and we still have to spend the money to fix them.
Right.
Or whatever.
and the other thing to keep in mind is under, in the 2017 budget, we do have for street, you know, the traffic lights, we do have annually $10,000 budgeted. Now, this year, we've only spent $1,000. So far, I mean, it's only August, but, I mean, we've only spent $1,000. But we usually typically have at least $10,000 in the budget. So stretching to 20, I don't know that that's gonna be that difficult. So do we wanna do a $100,000 application? Does council wanna do a $200,000 application?
Can we take, I mean, do we have the time to
It's due
look
at the
at?
end of September, and Rob's already looked at the traffic lights.
Okay, so you
My-
have a recommendation?
My recommendation is move forward with the grant, because actually there's some concerns with some of the intersections with the conditions of the systems now, especially at Steuben and Noble, Dinsmore and Noble, and actually Bradford and Noble. Those three intersections are the ones that are on the hit list, and I think starting at Bradford is probably a good starting point. And
So 100,000 is that your suggestion?
I would say the 170, and then it's a $34,000 match. Update and improve them as you go. Because all three of them really need done. And I didn't know about doing sections at the time instead of doing all complete intersections. If we can do parts of each intersection, I would recommend that. Because you actually need an installation of another light at Noble Bradford. That red light goes out, then my guys are calling out to change a light bulb. If you have two signals in there, then that could wait until working hours. And some of the post poles that these signals are on, that's why I think we put 10,000 to do some replacements of those. Some are old telegraph poles, metal telegraph poles, aren't in the best condition, so they're gonna have to be replaced anyhow. I would take advantage of the grant and actually, if you could do a little bit on all three intersections and upgrade and then improve those, then I would recommend that. It's gonna be council decision, or go with everything with the peg blocks, and different, maybe you can itemize what they're gonna do with the,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
With the
Michael
intersections.
Haberman from Gateway will prepare a cost estimate. He just needs a budget, how much we want to proceed with. Do we want to do 100? Do we want to do 150? Do we want to do 200? You know, that's,
What's it gonna take to get it done? That's the
Yeah.
I mean, now Noble and Bradford, the application that we did for ARLE was, that was 168,000 or 170,000. But again, that was all the bells and whistles on there, the sidewalk, I mean.
peg countdowns and, you know.
Yeah, so what do you want to do? Do you want to make them all good? Or do you want to make one great? That's the
I
question.
want to make them all good.
Especially
Because I
Dinsmore.
like to see the
That's a
crosswalk
terrible
buttons on there.
Those
people cross. You
Peg
can't
walk
see
signs
them.
were there when I was a kid walking the same road.
Exactly, it's horrible.
They're the same ones.
You cannot see, and if I want to cross
Walk
Noble
and go across onto the other side of Noble. I can't see if there's a red light
So
there.
if
I'm just
we
looking
apply
for
for too much, is it, do they say like, we're not gonna give you 200, but we'll give you 150, or is it just denied?
Oh, it's typically, every grant is different, but typically they're just denied. And with PennDOT, you either get it all or you don't. Now,
So
if
do
you
you
put
feel
in for
like it's
200.
risky to ask for 200?
No, I don't, not at all. But, you know, now the bid may come in 180, you know what I'm saying? So you may save your, whatever that you pay, you spend out is your, and it also includes engineering, which is really rare too. You know, so if the bids come in lower, you only have a 20% match of the, whatever the total project is. So if the bids come in lower, then the 20% goes lower. But the thing that is the best is that you can put it over 2 budget years. I mean, so I would recommend, and this is the final year.
Okay, so
So-
your recommendation.
I mean, I would recommend that we spend $200,000, upgrade each of the intersections,
I would go for that.
Yeah.
and, you know, and then just break it down $20,000 each year.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we should go all in.
Yeah,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that's what council wanted.
okay.
Okay, so $200,000 project. And then we'll have a $40,000 match over 2 years.
So then I'm gonna entertain this motion
Yeah,
to authorize Gateway Engineers to prepare the Green Light Go grant application for a cost not to exceed $1,500.
So moved.
Second.
And move and second, any discussion further?
We're gonna have like crosswalks and the signs up and that'll be all be fixed up.
yeah, whenever he gets the design together, I mean, or what we can get for that 200, I'll ask him for, you know, like plans and specs and that kind of thing.
Especially when the boards too, and that one's hard to cross.
Right.
There's a lot of, try to pass you when you stop.
Okay then, anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Our notice to the bidders. Do you have anything additional to add to this, or I can just read this? So Crafton Park Improvements, AKA our rain garden, bids are due August 28th, 2017 by 10 a.m. A copy of the proposed project is on the table, and that's what we saw on the bigger board earlier from Gateway. Another notice to bidders is our house demolition project, and those bids are due September 6th, 2017 at 10 a.m. Our asbestos reports have been received and they are incorporated in the bid. Hopefully, there's
Yeah,
more
hopefully we get
success
bids.
this time.
And which,
That
where's
is
the
for-
bids, or where are the notices being posted?
Well, we always post it, we always advertise in the Suburban Gazette, and then it's on the website, and it's, the Gateway will send out to previous bidders that they've had for contractors for demolition as well.
Can we post it in the Post, or wherever has a
That's
broader
about 3 times
circulation?
the price.
Okay.
I mean, you know,
Can
typically.
we maybe, if we are unsuccessful this time around, then just move it out to?
I was gonna say, in my opinion, if more people see it, maybe we'll get more competition, and if there's more competition, I mean, the house demo situation, we have no bidders thus far.
But we also think it had to do with that asbestos.
Right, I
And
understand.
now that we have that,
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's something that council should entertain when we're putting out bids, that we cast a broad net in western Pennsylvania, so we can try to get some diversity and competition, so but that's just something I wanted to bring up.
And then we'd have to increase our advertising. I mean, it's really expensive in the Post Gazette.
Like what's,
I
what
mean-
are those costs? They're just, if you.
I don't know if
yeah.
it's by the, you know,
Size.
by the size of the advertisement, so it would depend. But, I mean, I'm just gonna say, using a guesstimate, so if it's $125 in the Suburban Gazette, it'll probably be $350 in the, at least.
Yeah, and if we get a great bid and we save hundreds of thousands of dollars or thousands of dollars, I think
It usually goes on the construction sites too.
Yeah.
And like I said, and Gateway also sends it out too.
Yeah, but I think I'd feel more comfortable, you know, casting a broader net from here on.
You're looking for a specialized audience.
That knows where boroughs and municipalities who are stretched for cash advertise.
Right.
Perhaps we can work
So-
on that for our next budget.
You know, the people who are looking for that kind of work know where to look for it, I think.
Okay. Can you speak to this next one? Go ahead.
Actually, Jen was the one that worked on this with myself. She specializes in MPDS and 9 minimum controls. The borough had an audit done in September of last year, and we received notification of deficiencies, and each of them have been addressed, and you received a copy of our response letter, and has been submitted to the Allegheny County Health Department as a combined sort community with 9 minimum controls. So everything has been addressed and submitted to the health department.
Okay. Any questions about that? Did you have something? No? Just a reminder that we have our special meeting on Monday, next Monday, August 21st at 6:30 with Ingram Council to discuss our early intervention program projects. And there is nothing listed under discussion items, but does anyone have anything?
Of course.
Of course, Philip, I wouldn't expect anything less.
So, I've been driving around the community some more, and I was thinking about what the developer from Kraft and Ingram was talking about. We're talking about entrances to the community, and
Or you're talking about the folks from the shopping
yeah,
center?
and I was just thinking about our image and entrances and those corridors that bring traffic into the community, and I think it may be a good idea for Public Works to work with the engineer to evaluate streets such as Sterrett, Baldwin, you know, all the streets that come into the community, and look at our ADA compliance, look at the maintenance of our curbs. If we've got curbs popping up, maybe we can try to improve those curbs and those other walkways that are under borough control to try to spruce up our image and try to, again, focus of trying to incentivize or make Crafton a appealing place to move. There's a lot of heat in the market right now with regards to housing, and I think we want to try to capture part of that market, and I think, you know, improving our gateways to our community would be a good idea. And I just was noticing that we have some parts of our community, especially Sterrett Street, looking at the curbs there, and they need work. It might just be temporary work, you know, something that can, you know, just spruce it up, make it, you know, so there's not a big piece of curb, you know, popping out into the roadway. It doesn't give you a really good warm and fuzzy feeling when you see stuff like that. So that's my topic for discussion, is to figure out what needs to be repaired, what kind of budget we need to establish to try to make some improvements. I don't think I'm proposing anything like complete roadway reconstruction. I know the engineers bring it to my attention all too often that we have standards, and anytime we touch a roadway, it seems as if they propose a complete reconstruction. And I think, you know, just fixing the curbs up and the ADA, and looking at the ADA compliance issues for at least the entrances of the community will benefit everybody in the community. So thank you for letting me bring that up.
Thank you. Does anyone have any comments to Philip's concerns? No? Okay. Does anyone have anything that they would like to discuss?
Just that the police or whatever can maybe do a letter to UPS and FedEx that the trucks are running stop signs, FedEx coming up the street instead of down the street. And Linwood, North Carolina, use it, goes all the way up, to try to stop it. And
He goes up on the
keeps-
one
keeps
way.
going. And UPS are really flying down the street.
Flying
Yeah, the one was, Grant couldn't even stop at the stop sign, he was just going through it.
or is that the local guy?
And that's not Patrick, it's, lady with blonde hair, another man.
What? Yeah, absolutely.
At our meeting on Monday, the 21st, one of the things that Sam Nucci came into my office with Karen Dixon from Ingram, and they really want to push forward that emergency notification system. I did find another organization, it's called the Nixle System, and I called North Strabane Township, and there's actually some other local communities that have used the Nixle system.
How are you spelling that?
Nixle. It's part of Everbridge, but for communities under 10,000, they use Nixle, it's just a little bit smaller. Some of the things that they're representing seems to be a little bit more for a smaller community, and so the pricing is nominal, so it's only like $100 in difference. But one of the things that we may want to consider is like a joint mailing, and this is what Sam and Karen are going to discuss. But
A
that
joint mailing between the two communities.
between the two communities and get residents to sign up that way and sign up through the website. One of the nice things about the Nixle system is that it can be a text, so you can send out, like if as long as your cell phone is it hits the tower in 15205, you just hit 15205, and you'll automatically always get emergency notifications from 15205.
Does that mean you have to be in 152?
Whenever you answer your text. So, but because it's very difficult, Verizon and Comcast today, they only give landline, and a lot of people don't have landlines anymore.
So if I was at work out by the airport and something was happening here, and you sent a text message, would I get it out by
Yes.
the airport?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you would. Anything that was
Because I'm
15205, because you're registered. And the way that the Nixle system explains it is, a lot of people don't want to give their name, phone number, address, cell phone numbers to their local government. So if you just do it by text, it seems to get a lot better response.
Kind of like the weather alerts.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I get it saying there's a
Right.
thunderstorm.
So, and Greg, who was on Ingram Council, is now the executive director for Local Government Academy. And there is actually some funding out there that we may be able to get just for the emergency 911, or reverse 911 system, that emergency notification. So that's why but it's due by the end of September.
So is it one way or the other, or could we still collect names and addresses? and
Oh,
everything?
yeah, you can still collect names
But
and
if you
addresses.
chose not to, you'd still get this if you were.
Absolutely, and then you can choose, you can get it by text message, email, home line, however you would like to receive that notification.
Okay.
But Greg was the one that called me and he was like, you have about $10,000 worth of work. Well, this is only $4,000, $4,500, it's $4,000 plus a $500 implementation fee. There may be some other things that we can apply for, but it's due by the end of the month.
Is it $4,000 then every year?
Yes. That would be split from Kraft and Ingram, so really.
So
it'd be $2,000.
$4,500 for the initial,
Right,
and then $4,000
each year.
each year after. Is there a contract that we have to sign for X number of years?
3 years.
Guys have any questions about that?
So I just wanted to bring it to council's attention that Sam is gonna be discussing, and hopefully we can apply for the grant.
And so you think this is the one that you recommend then?
Yeah, I do. The other company is out of New York, he doesn't have anybody that's in Allegheny County, and they're trying to move in. I
Yeah.
don't like to be the groundbreaker sometimes. You know what
Right,
I
and
mean?
I I agree with you, I like the ability to just text.
Exactly.
to do
And
a
respond,
text or
and then this way you're in the system.
Right.
Your cell phone's in the system. That's one of the things. And they sent me like a press release that we can send out, and they have door hangers if we want to go door to door. But, you know, I told, you know, we discussed it, and the other thing that maybe we can apply for is a joint mailing. Maybe the printing, the mailing, and do that with in the application through local government academy. And do the mailing, and then, you know, emergency notification system. And put that in an application and send that out. It's just a project summary. So that, you know, we were talking maybe, you know, Crafton on one side, Ingram on the other, and then we'd each have a page, but at the front page would be how to sign up for that emergency notification. For both, everybody in both communities.
I'm just wondering if I may have missed an update on when the road program paving is gonna get started?
Ewing Road, they finished, they're gonna probably be finished by the end of the week. So by the, probably around the end of August, then our road paving program will start. And they're already aware that school starts the 21st.
And the alleys, how many more alleys are we gonna have done?
Some alleys are in the road program, and
Yeah, there
actually,
are,
we started paving with our DeNosh paver, did a section of 125 feet on North Grandview. And Rebecca, we're gonna finish Rebecca out tomorrow. So they started, those are the two projects. Still working out some kinks with the paver. The paver's working great. We purchased it, we got an extra screed with it. We probably gonna have to install over the winter. It's a major improvement, but there are some kinks to be worked out, and I think we'll do better with it next year once we replace the screen on it. And he gave us an extra when we purchased it. So that's something we'll do over the winter once our night turn, work on the paper, get that improved. So we'll be doing a few more of the alleys. We're looking at that one off behind the church. I forget the name, but it'll run between Haldane and Elmwood, one section of
It's not
Linden.
what the school uses?
Yeah, we're working on smaller ones with low traffic till we get the hang of it, move it. I mean, it's working great, but I think what happened is the screed itself has some issues with it, so it's not giving us the smooth, it's smooth, but it's not as clean as I'd like it to be. Roller's working great, the milling machine's wonderful. I think in the next 5 years, you'll see a major improvement on all the roadways, because we keep enhancing and improving our abilities, then we'll be able to do a little more. The alley program is still moving forward. And there's some on the paving list itself,
Yeah.
they're on the parks, different parks locations.
Prince Alley, Margie Alley, Alley U, Alley T, and Alley N. Those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 alleys this year.
Is that one behind Northwood or Southland or Southland?
Yes.
It's one of them?
That's one.
So those are on, those were paid by El Grande. So our contract.
We get a contract, all the ones that get around our recreation facilities.
Right.
Thank you. Did you have anything else? No, that answered your question. Okay, then we have a couple of announcements. And you know, school starts on Monday, the 21st. So the pool hours will slightly be modified. They'll be Monday through Friday from 3 until 7, Saturday from noon until 7, and Sunday from 1 until 7. And then, once the pool closes, we will have the doggy paddle, which is Saturday, September 9th, from 1 to 3. They can sign up with you or at the pool.
Yep.
Okay. Alka Sands Open House is Saturday, September 16th, from 9 to 4. Are we gonna have any representation there?
I usually volunteer in the morning.
Okay. So we need more? Jordan tax collection, school district taxes, they will be here, they'll be here, right? What's the 29th? That's a Tuesday, August 29th from 1 to 4, and August 30th, which is a Thursday, from 9 to noon, that you can come to the Borough Building and pay your taxes. Concerts in the park are on Thursdays at 7:30, and the last concert is August 17th. is Midnight Rooster the name of the, okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the next one?
Yeah, it's just the Allegheny County Side Yard Program, that's for blighted structures. If you have a neighbor that is a blighted structure or a vacant property, you can purchase that through the county, and they waive taxes. It's just there's fees, and it's a long process. I'm not saying it's gonna happen overnight, but it is a really good process through the county, and it's reduces a lot of the fees.
Okay. Rob, can you peek over your shoulder and just see if there's any more comments?
Yeah, I have it. There was anyone that signed up.
I have one more. I had to wait till the end. I just wanted to know, on Fountain Street, at Ewing, all that equipment is coming down Fountain Street, which is barely enough for one car as it is. It just got paved. But we had those machines that look like German tanks with those wheels coming down like 2 miles an hour last week. Do they have to come down our street? Why can't they get down Chartiers?
Rob?
Kathy, it's a process that's gonna be over 2 weeks from now. It's gone. I mean,
And that was the water company.
You know, is there something, if it ever happens again like that,
Hopefully in 100 years.
could we just have them, like a sign that says you gotta go down Chartiers? That was crazy, all this time, these
But
tanks coming down.
it's like an inconvenience. When it's over, you won't even think about it again. Same as we had when we did Noble Avenue, the whole reconstruction, that was all. but as soon
Noble
as it's
Avenue is the
over-
main road, our Fountain Street, you know it, I mean.
Well, I
one
understand
lane.
it, but once they're done, you'll never see them again. We're too old, we'll be gone,
They're,
you know?
You say,
well, that was all for the main water line, that's all done. They're putting in the service lines now, I think they have a backhoe, they're gonna store.
I didn't know if they were gonna be coming up again, and if they were, I was just gonna say, can you please tell them to get on Chartiers, that's all. Done.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything additional? Anyone? Nothing?
Fun
I will-
Avenue crew here.
That's right.
I'll entertain then a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
Moved, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Okey-doke.